Hey y'all, I'm back. Grab your snacks, grab your washcloths. We are headed back into the Amberverse today. I want to take a look at this Raglynn Bleed situation type deal that went down a few days ago with Amber and Salty Crab. So, if you're unaware, Amber has been lashing out at her exes for spilling the tea, and she's been lashing out at reactors as well. Now, when it comes to reaction channels, this takes the form, of course, of copyright strikes, since the girls are famous for not only refusing to wrap their brains around what constitutes fair use, but also they vastly overestimate the protections afforded by doing a members only live. One of the reactors targeted for using some clips of Amber's members only live was Salty Crab, who had a video removed. Salty Crab chose not to dispute and decided to redo the video instead. Salty Crab went on to re-upload the content with a slight modification. This new video was no longer about Amberlynn Reid, but a new mystery girl named Raglynn Bleed. So if you've been keeping up with Beck's content and everything coming out from the exes, you've heard the unsavory washcloth allegations, as well as tales of free bleeding uninterrupted for over a year, ruining other people's furniture and possessions in the process. Once again, the exes confirm what the community had already long suspected. Amber, of course, is mad as a dainty little hornet about it all and has accused Salty Crab of cancer shaming. Now, before we get any deeper into this, I want to address the cancer question head on. Girl World is pretty split on whether they believe she had cancer or precancerous cells. I've heard good arguments from both camps, to be honest, and while I do have my own opinion based on things that Beck has said and what we witnessed at the time of the day, I don't think it really matters if it was actually full-on cancer or the precancerous cells situation. Whether it was cancer or a precancerous condition, I think in Amber's mind of black and whites and extremes and lack of nuance, it's the same. Her reaction would be the same, how she processes that is the same, and how she ultimately bandies that to garner sympathy is the same. So even if we're giving her the benefit of the doubt in regard to the cancer question, which I have no problem doing, it really doesn't change the fact that Salty Crab was not shaming her cancer symptoms. She was shaming her refusal to take responsibility for her deteriorating health and personal hygiene while expecting Beck and others to take basically full responsibility for it. It is one thing to ask for help when you are completely incapable, and it is another to demand it when you are capable. Yes, the thought you may have cancer or another serious illness is scary. That fear should hasten you into getting treatment, not delay it. And if you choose to delay that care, you choose to not clean up after messy symptoms when you're able, and instead leave all responsibility to your partner, it's not cancer shaming to call you out on that. And this is just in regards to the free bleeding situation. As far as the washcloth allegations, that's another mess entirely and should not have been Beck's responsibility to clean up, and other people's belongings should not have been affected in the way that they were. That's all I'm going to say about that. If you want the gory details, head on over to Beck's channel and brace yourself. Not only is this not cancer shaming, it's far from the worst joke ever made at Amberlynn's expense, and Amberlynn herself has thrown far worse shade at others for far less. What I think has truly got under Amberlynn's skin is not that she's being shamed for a cancer symptom, allegedly. What is got under her skin, what has her so upset about this, is the fact that this whole arc begins with Beck and the rest of the League of Indignant Exes exposing what she put them all through and the wreckage she left in her wake. Anyway, Amberlynn came all the way back from her YouTube non-break to have her own little reaction moment with a video simply called Raglynn Bleed. So let's take a look at that mess.
Guys, so I actually just got out of the shower and I wasn't going to do this. This was not going to be something that I was going to do.
Oh, I just got out of the shower moment, which she does when she likes to remind us that she is in fact hygienic. She bathes. Okay. Of course, this begins with a shower moment. You don't have a schedule. First of all, you're supposed to be on a YouTube break. Second of all, putting out 2-week-old material as you get to it does not constitute having a schedule.
Like now. So I don't normally do reactions to reaction channels, but I feel like I'm done like zipping my lip, you know?
You've never shut up about any of this. You constantly talk about reaction channels.
And when it comes to this topic, it's near and dear to me. Obviously, I had cancer. It was traumatizing. I genuinely thought I was gonna die. I had to do it. So for another YouTuber to create a nickname, Raglynn Bleed, well, already they're hypocritical, they're biased. I have made it very clear on my Instagram that that is fucked up. I've also...
But again, that wasn't about you having cancer. That was about you using washcloths for your bathroom business, not bleeding, and free bleeding, just all about the house, and then not cleaning up after it. That's what this is about. Not cancer. It's about what you did when you were able to clean up after yourself and just chose not to.
Made it very clear during public live streams and during my members only live streams. And this YouTuber just keeps going back and forth with me, trying to like twist the narrative of why they, you know, named me Raglynn Bleed when it's very obvious why they did it. And they're trying so hard to like...
Yeah, it's obvious why they did it. They were shaming you for what you put Beck through with maintaining your hygiene. You made Beck responsible for your hygiene at times when they didn't necessarily need to be. And you did so in a way that was honestly disrespectful. And frankly, if somebody is ruining your belongings with their bathroom hygiene and their free bleeding, and they're capable of cleaning up after themselves, they're capable of doing laundry, they're capable of changing a pad, they make you clean up after it and they ruin your things in the process. To me, that borders on assault.
Like turn it into like an okay nickname. So my friend sent me this message that you are seeing here, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna react to this first 5 minutes because I want to know what they say. So let's do it. I want to be...
Now, as far as the quote-unquote friend sending her something, who knows? Maybe this is some anon person. Maybe this is an actual friend. But we all know Amber is known for having multiple phones and also asking herself questions, sending herself messages. So any screenshot from Amber when it comes to this stuff, take it with a grain of salt 100% of the time.
Able to respond. By the way, this YouTuber does not show their face because they're too scared. So all you need to hear is their voice. Let's do it. Hey,
also, no reactor has to show their face if they don't want to. We're not vlogs. I might decide not to one day. I've certainly have videos where I've chosen not to because I'm just like, I don't feel it. I'm not feeling being in front of a camera. I'm not a vlogger. That's not the content. It doesn't matter.
Well, welcome back to my channel. Happy Thursday. And before we get started today, I just want to talk a little bit about what happened last night, or should I say very early this morning. If you missed it, Amberlynn went live for about an hour and a half, and it was pretty much just a part two to the members only stream she did, because it was almost exactly the same thing. She was, in my opinion, very manic. She was crying.
Okay, so mental health shaming.
1 second, laugh.
So you can come on here, talk about your mania, say, oh, guys, I'm manic. Oh, guys, I'm going through this with mental health. Oh, I'm going through this with my mental health. I'm going through that with my mental health. You can describe your symptoms in detail ad nauseum. But as soon as someone comments on it, not making fun of her, not making a joke, not making a dig, just saying she seemed manic, suddenly they're mental health shaming? I don't think so.
The next second acting very just above it all while
I'm telling you, my moods genuinely are bouncing back and forth. Like,
and it's not mental health shaming to point that out. You're doing it now.
1 minute I am crying, 1 minute I'm laughing, 1 minute I'm doing both at the same time. 1 minute I feel despair, 1 minute I feel hopeful. It is what it is.
It is what it is, and what it is mania.
That's where I'm currently at right now with my mental health.
Still having to get digs.
But anyone else points that out, it's mental health shaming.
She said, I felt like she was doing that. She did the stream because she kind of wanted to get the attention off of Beck and Destiny's video.
100% Salty is absolutely right about this. I mean, the whole community can see it.
Definitely not. Beck and Destiny's video genuinely sucked. Like, okay.
Beck and Destiny's video was genuinely a banger. The chat agreed during the live premiere. Views were great. Likes were great. Beck has hit 100,000 subscribers already. Yeah, she is big jealous.
Screenshots from 9 years ago. I'm sorry I was hurt. I'm sorry I was desperate.
Speaking of screenshots from years ago, what did you use to try to discredit Beck? Busted screenshots from years ago.
She was mostly just reading the nice comments people were leaving.
Typical, yeah.
I think I know why they're actually talking about this, because in that live stream, I straight up asked Salty Crab a question, and I think they might be answering it right now. So I'm actually glad that I'm reacting to this. So let's hear the answer.
Oh, shut up.
Ranting about everybody who she doesn't like, crying over, like, girl, we saw it all before, and it was more entertaining in the member stream. But I do want to address one thing. And like I said before, I'm not going to do a back and forth with Amberlynn.
But yet you are.
That's what you're doing.
Really no point to it. There's nothing.
But yet you are.
That's what you're doing! You're the one doing that!
You're right. I apologize.
If you don't want it, it's not a back and forth. If you stop and turn off your computer now, Amber.
I bet you're not perfect at all. I bet you made your fair share of mistakes.
And therefore, that negates anything you could ever criticize about me. This is typical Amberlynn. If you've ever done anything imperfect in your life, you don't have the right to criticize her, regardless of what she's done is so much worse. This is why she thinks showing Beck lied about still talking to her post-breakup proves anything. The fact that she thinks a message from Beck saying, please don't tell people we're still talking after they broke up, shows that Beck is the bad person and Amber is somehow redeemed by that. That's exactly how she thinks. If you did anything wrong, ever, you don't get to point out anything Amberlynn has done. Which, of course, is just absolute nonsense, but that's her extreme black and white thinking yet again. For someone who talks so much about situations having nuance, she refuses to see any nuance in anything she's touched.
So it's like these people who want to like point their finger and be like, you're not perfect.
It's not about being perfect. It's about being
pointed back at you, because neither are you.
Someone else or her BPD, but she did.
Oh, do you hear the
Again, Amber can talk about her BPD, but nobody else can.
Mocking of her BPD. More mental health shaming.
No, it's just doing what you do back at you. Pointing it out. Your mental health can be an explanation. It's not an excuse. You use it as an excuse, people point that out, and suddenly they're mental health shaming.
Like, when does it end?
It ends when you stop, Amber. It ends when you stop being smug about what you have put people through. You stop being a piece of and go learn how to be a decent person. That's when it ends.
Personally, to tell her why in my video from almost a week ago, Amber, like, you're still going on about it, but...
And you still go on about things that happened years and years ago. Just
because you won't take accountability, you don't apologize, and you don't do anything to fix them. That's why we still go on about them. That's why reactors still harp about you did years ago, because you still haven't fixed the behavior.
Because you need something to talk about, because your whole channel is monetized based on talking about me. So yeah, I am going to talk about something. Making a joke out of my cancer is not okay.
It's not a joke out of your cancer. It's a joke about how you treated people around you because you refused to deal with your hygiene, which is not the same damn thing.
Not a silly joke.
Rhymed with your last name.
It's a silly joke. Is it in poor taste? Sure. But, you know, this is girl world. We didn't come here for good taste.
So I use the word...
There's a lot of words that rhyme with read. I mean, I can think of one right now. Feed. That'd be a lot more funnier than bleed.
Bleed. But also, the joke was not about your cancer.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. You just want it to be so that you have something to latch onto and be angry about, because you know what the joke is actually about is what you put other people through that was unfair to them.
Was your laziness. The fact that you made the choice to not seek medical treatment when you knew that you should.
So, first of all, one of the very first things that I did when I was diagnosed with cancer was join forums of other people who have embarrassment, feeling ashamed, anxiety.
Were you not embarrassed to ruin people's stuff? Were you not embarrassed to make your partner deal with that?
Some of us then begin to believe, like, okay, maybe actually these symptoms are normal, or actually it's really not that big of a deal. I did go to the doctor. I actually went to the ER a few times.
The ER is not going to the doctor for a cancer screening. The ER is not going to a gyno for a pelvic exam.
And every single time I went, they told me I had all this blood and I had the pain in my back and it was due to a UTI or it was due to a bladder infection and all of these things, but that wasn't the case. Should I have gone to a gynecologist sooner? Sure.
Yeah, because the ER is not... The ER is not there to do a proper diagnosis of all of your problems. They are there to keep you alive. They address the situation as they see it in the emergency room. They address the emergency. And if you need further treatment, they hospitalize you or refer you to a specialist or say, go to your general practitioner, go to your primary care provider. You did none of those. You just went to the ER, took your little UTI meds, and were like, okay, this should be fine. And then when it wasn't fine, what? You went back to the ER? Mm-hmm.
Does that make me lazy? Fuck no. Does that make anyone else who has also had uterine cancer and they waited a really long time to be seen until they were diagnosed, does that make them lazy?
This still doesn't explain why the people you lived with had to live with what they did. This doesn't explain why you made others responsible for the mess.
No. Do they deserve to have a nickname like that? No.
For me.
Clean up this mess.
And when I say that you expected everyone to...
Look at her face, darting around, looking for the rest of the story. She knows what she did. She's trying to figure out her way out. Because just saying, oh, you're cancer shaming, I had cancer, that's not the issue at hand here, Amber.
Clean things up around you. You know exactly what I mean.
If you're talking about...
She knows exactly what she means. You can tell by the look on her face as Salty was saying that she knows exactly what Salty means.
My blood, I made sure that was nowhere. There was blood nowhere.
And at this point... Beck gets the benefit of the doubt because they have told consistent stories about what went on. They've told stories that match up with what we saw on camera. They've told stories that make sense with the things that we saw, the things that we know went on. Whereas your stories change, your stories do not stay consistent, and they do not always match up with those timelines. They don't match up with what we saw. You've denied things we've seen you do on camera. So at this point, no, you don't get to be the believable one just because you say so. The person whose story makes sense is the person we're going to believe, and at this point, it's Beck. Say what you will about them and everything else. They have the benefit of believability at this point. Sorry.
Did you guys ever remember that mattress that was out in the living room? That was one of the reasons it was in the living room, because I was scared to get blood anywhere. I never got it anywhere. If I was...
Yeah, so you made people haul a mattress back and forth. Don't tell me you moved the mattress. We know Beck did that. And we also know that wasn't the only thing that got ruined. But regardless, having somebody drag a mattress back and forth to the living room so you can just free bleed on it because you don't want to deal with your symptoms and you don't want to see a doctor and you don't want to make any effort to control them in a way that makes sense is bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
I wasn't wearing a pad. I was wearing a rag. I was very anal about that because it was embarrassing. Like, I was always bleeding. Sometimes it was heavier than other times, but it was genuinely an awful experience and it was very embarrassing. I never made Beck do it. Who else was there? Oh, are you speaking about my roommates? Because I had roommates. Hell no, that is so embarrassing. That was 2 guys. Like, are you joking? I handled all of that by myself.
You moved the mattress? You cleaned the mattress? You moved and cleaned that mattress? Back and forth every day? You moved that mattress? Yeah, right.
Just because I was having all these symptoms, it didn't make me a selfish or disrespectful person.
Girl, we already know Beck was the one moving the mattress back and forth.
I wasn't going to sit there and make a mess. Like, what? The fact that you're even insinuating that is hectic. And that's for a lack of a better word.
You're the one who said you had to use rags instead of using feminine products. But who washed those rags, Amber?
That's a great question. She's going to lie and say she did it. We all know it was Beck.
Me. What?
Change those rags, Amber.
Me? What is happening? So
what's happening is no one believes your bullshit anymore. That's what's happening.
You called me Raglynn Bleed because you're assuming that Beck washed my rags. I genuinely think this person needs help. Like, more help than me. Like, I admit I need help, but
you refuse to get it. Just like you refused to get it in this situation, you still refuse to get it. You refuse to get help consistently for a decade or more now, and instead just get worse, and you're mad that people are pointing that out?
So do you. What?
Amber, who probably had to scrub those rags out in this.
No one scrubbed a rag in a sink because of my cancer symptoms. That never happened.
Sink.
Oh, no, that was something else that Beck had to rinse out in the sink. It wasn't your blood. Excuse the hell out of the entire community.
Bet it wasn't you, and you were just fine with
It was nobody.
them having to do it day after day.
It was nobody.
Why would Beck say this? Why would Beck say this now, all this time later? If Beck wanted to say this to be sensational and they were just trying to get a dig at you and they were making shit up just for the sake of drama and money and tea and attention and insulting you, why wait this long? You know, yeah, sure, revenge is a dish best served cold. Okay, but at this point it would be ice cold. And I don't think that Beck... Again, say what you will about Beck for good or ill. I don't think that they have the inclination, capacity, whatever. I don't think they have it in them to play that kind of long game, to wait this long and then come at you like that out of nowhere as a con or a revenge or a grift or just to get your goat. No, I think, again, you know, I've said this many times. I think the simplest answer is usually the correct answer. I think the simplest answer when it comes to Beck is that they have done some reflection, some growth, some healing. They've kind of gotten themselves a little more grounded, had a chance to look back on the situation, had a chance probably to go through some of the footage and really, you know, like they've said, really see what happened, because they have said that they didn't really watch the channel when they were with Amber, and that it took some time for them to even be ready to look back on that, which, again, if you lived through it, that makes sense. And so it's just now that Beck is really looking back and seeing what we all saw at the time. And I think Beck is doing that on the heels of, you know, some major healing that had to happen to even be able to, you know, speak coherently and calmly about all of this, I'm sure. I mean, I have a hard time staying calm listening to her bullshit, and I don't even know the woman. So, again, say what you will about Beck. At this point, believability-wise, my money's on Beck. It is what it is, Amber. Sorry. You lost the ability to be believable years ago.
Week after week, month after month, year after year. You intentionally did not go to the doctor.
I didn't intentionally not go to the doctor.
Well, what did you do then? Because you didn't go. Did you forget? Was somebody holding you down? Or did you not go because you didn't want to go? Because that's intentional.
When other times you would go to the ER for cellulitis.
Yes, because cellulitis is an infection that if it gets in your blood, you can die.
And what do you think cancer can do, Amber? You just got done crying about how you thought you were going to die when you had it. Make it make sense, y'all. I'm going to have to like take a whole ass shower myself after this.
Yeah, I did go to the ER for that. So I can be on antibiotics because that's the only way that cellulitis can go away. So I'm sorry.
You couldn't go to a primary care physician? Oh, wait.
Or
we don't do that.
You needed stitches in your hand.
Yes, I literally still have that scar. But yes, I needed
Stupid
stitches.
circle.
I'm sorry. I stabbed myself in the hand with a knife.
This wasn't a case where you had a fear.
All of these things are less serious than cancer. Or at least as serious. Cellulitis, could the infection kill you? Sure, I don't know. Possibly. Unchecked, I mean, a lot of things can. Heck, I mean, technically stabbing yourself in the hand could kill you under the right circumstances. You had no problem going to the ER for these things. You put off going into the ER for this issue, which isn't really even an issue you should have gone to the ER for. You should have gone to your primary care physician and a gynecologist.
Of the doctor.
This is genuinely like you invalidating my experience, but you know what? I don't expect anything less, anything more from you.
I had no problems going to the ER, but in this situation,
anything that isn't ass-pats is invalidating to you. Whatever.
You took an online quiz to see what was wrong, rather than seeing a doctor. And even then, when the quiz told you what was probably wrong, it still took you another month before you went to the doctor.
Yeah. Out of fear.
Yeah.
And I also kept lying to myself.
Again, fear should make you move faster, not slower. And the fact that you're lying to yourself, that just shows how delusional you're willing to be. How much you're willing to put off getting care because you don't want to deal with it. Fear, laziness, whatever.
Like
it doesn't.
Really overweight and when you're really underweight, your periods are very irregular. So I did keep lying to myself.
And
I was like,
did finally go to the doctor. You took pictures of your underwear and the crotch of your pants.
Yes, she did.
Actually, it was Beck who took those pictures. We were absolutely shocked with how much blood I was losing. Like, I was losing so much blood, and that was only the beginning of it. Like, the pictures that we did take, because then it got worse and worse. At that point, I was having to be rushed into an emergency DNC. I was losing so much blood that like I could have died. But yes, Beck.
That's how long you waited. You waited until you absolutely had no choice but to deal with it. And people pointing out how ridiculous and irresponsible that is for your health and for the well-being of those around you, your alleged loved ones. That's not making fun of it. That's not a lighthearted joke that we're all having at your expense. That's us calling you the...
Had their phone and they were taking pictures because it was genuinely so shocking.
Everywhere.
And I remember
put them on Snapchat for your viewers to...
Yes, I did put them on Snapchat. So
yeah,
this was
you
during
did.
The
it was
time
disgusting.
Where I was like, I cannot believe that people think I am lying about cancer.
And so that's how you chose to prove it? Was to post the blood on Snapchat. That's how she chose to prove she had cancer. But we're all the ones with a problem, right?
It was quite a few people. Like when Nikocado Avocado uploaded that video, I showed my actual medical paperwork, which would
have been sufficient. We didn't need the bloody Snapchats, Amber. Nobody needed the bloody Snapchats.
Like impulsive state of mind. I ended up posting those pictures on Snapchat as a way to be like, I did go through this. This is exactly what happened to me. Do I regret doing that? No. But it
Oh, God.
is very pathetic that I even had to do that.
You didn't have to do it!
Actually got to that level that I had to show.
It got to that level because you took it to that level.
It honestly feels demeaning. And this person right here,
you demeaned yourself. End of. I mean, we can say this about all of these damn situations. You didn't have to do it, and you demeaned yourself in the process. No one else did that to you. You did it. End of. There. Shut it down. Just, that's it. The whole thing's done. We've said all we need to say.
is like making fun of me because I did that. That's really, really sad.
See, but you have a problem with me making...
No, that's weird that you did that, and regardless of how you feel about the rest of this shit, you absolutely should be ridiculed to hell and back for posting those. You should be made fun of for that. That was cringe at best and absolutely horrifying and triggering and disgusting at worst.
In a silly joke using the word bleed.
They don't have anything to do with each other.
Really, Amber? It's also come out that you ruin people's personal items.
Because what?
Because of the bleeding.
Oh, you listened to this ahead. You've already got this all planned out, sis.
I never ruined anyone's personal items because of the bleeding.
No? No washcloths? No washcloths that belonged to someone's mother and weren't yours?
Nothing at all.
No, I'm sorry. That wasn't because of the bleeding. That was because of...
living room for you to sit on it so you wouldn't make a mess.
That is actually the truth.
You just got done saying you didn't make it. In this video, you contradict yourself. You just got done saying you didn't make anyone do that.
I was out in the living room. That was one of the reasons I was in the living room, because I was scared to get blood anywhere. I never got it anywhere. If I wasn't wearing a pad, I was wearing a rag. I was very anal about that because it was embarrassing. Like, I was always bleeding. Sometimes it was heavier than other times, but it was genuinely an awful experience, and it was very embarrassing. I never made Beck do it. Who else was there? Oh, are you thinking about my roommates because I had roommates? Hell no.
And now here you are saying, oh yeah, that happened.
Would have done it for Beck. When you're in a relationship and you think
you would have done it for Beck. First of all, no, you wouldn't. Look how you treated Beck when they were ill. Making them drive to Walmart to run your petty errands. Would have done it for Beck. That's easy for you to say now that it's not a possibility and there's no way to prove, oh yeah, I would have done the same for you. Sure, whatever, prove it. Oh, wait, you can't. How fucking convenient. But hey, at least the closest thing we had to that scenario, which was watching Beck be really ill on your channel, we saw what you would do for Beck when they were ill. You would make them run your errands and shove a camera in their face and act like they needed to do more for you and step it up. Yeah, you would do the same for Beck. Okay.
That you love the person. It's supposed to be a safe, comforting, caring environment.
And what was it for Beck? What did you make it for Beck? Did you make a safe, comfortable, caring environment for Beck when you treated them how you did? When you made them go drive to pick up whatever you needed from the Walmart while they were on loads of medication and in pain? Completely out of it. Clearly out of it. Clearly had no business driving. Was that a safe, caring place? I have no patience for what she says she would have done for Beck. We all saw what you did do for Beck.
I think for 2 seconds, I'm pretty sure you would have dragged the mattress into the living room as well if you wanted to hang out with your partner and you knew what they were experiencing. It wasn't like that. I think I did not get blood anywhere. So let me keep hearing why you're making fun of my cancer. Let's keep going.
That's not what's happening. Flip your little hair all you want. That's not what's happening.
Did you do anything about that? Did you try and get it looked at for at least 2 years? My fault for using a word, for saying the word bleed.
You are so dense. If you actually think that I'm upset because you used a word, you're making fun of me.
You made a 16-minute video upset because that's the word she used and you think she's making fun of you.
You're making fun of an experience that altered my whole life.
Really? And before you fix your mouth to
Altered Beck's life, too. Look what they had to heal from.
call me an ableist again
You are.
and try and say that
Yeah.
your
Sure,
medical no problem getting to Lexington 20.
What? During that era of my life, I went to Lexington maybe once. I'm finding it hard to understand.
We saw
what
it,
that
Amber.
has to do
We saw the vlogs, Amber.
with you making fun of my cancer.
No one is making fun of your cancer. They are ridiculing your behavior because it was ridiculous.
I am in fear you're going to pull a muscle, so calm down, please.
27 times to go to the Cheesecake Factory. So how was there a problem getting to the doctor? Maybe if the gynecologist would have served orange chicken, you would have gotten checked out sooner. But
There it is. You're ableist, girl. Just admit it. You're
No, everyone's just tired of your smug ass, and we believe your exes.
fat phobic. You're biased. You lack empathy and sympathy, and you
Oh, I wonder what that's like. I don't know anyone who lacks empathy and sympathy and doesn't understand what they've ever done wrong and would be ableist towards others. Who do we know anyone like that, girls? Do we know anyone who would not respect others and would shame them for things that are out of their control and think that yeah, I don't know anyone like that. Do we know anyone like that, girls?
can't admit when you're wrong.
that's all you're getting from me, Amber. Now.
Rules for me, but not for thee.
Rules for thee and not for me. That's your mantra, isn't it? You know that one inside and out. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.
You watched it, didn't you?